As the wind erodes and the water corrodes, altering everything we think we know, but we don't. It's all temporary, and it used to, but now the thought doesn't scare me or keep my feet from following one after another until I slumber. Then my mind, not my feet, wander and dream of people and places I'll never see again. I've mended as much mental anguish as I can, and now I try to use this language to take these thoughts from my head to my pen. Cause though I don't speak of my dead friends or the circumstances, often the blow never softens or yields. I'm in a desolate field, lonesome stargazing, night blazing, chasing traces of remembrance and reverence of relevant friends and acquaintances, and faceless and nameless names and faces. And while my mind is racing through these photo albums and quotations, all these people and places far from me, for only land and stars I see when I'm outside of the Mile High City, which is not my city, for I was born 1,000 miles northeast of there, in the land of beer and lakes and pistol fire on MLK's birthday, where there is no minorities and segregation's mandatory. But that's a whole nother story altogether, and no matter the weather or hardships that any place brings, I'll still laugh when people shiver and say it's freezing, or say, hey, no, wait, I already had 18 mixed drinks, but I guess it's a Midwest thing, and I'm a mess from a dirty city and brought most of this filth I've gathered with me.
Here we are back in studio for episode 23 of Experience Andy Weins Live, and today we're going to talk about the devil within the details. Piggybacking off of what we talked about last week, some prime examples over the last week of why our listening for certain words and phrases will be the difference when you get the overall picture of what someone's really trying to say. Coming up after the verse.
My work labors on as lovers sleep in each other's arms, remaining calm and collect. I begin my self-reflection process of redemption. Honestly, I don't know where this road leads, or if I'm even going. Could be rowing upstream, or worse, chasing my dreams to the peak, to finally be somebody doing something with what I have, rather than saying again and again that I can't and I won't anymore from this day forward. Cause Lord knows the past is set in stone, the present is yours to mold and to use for future uses. I know I'm a nuisance, I'm told, cause I'm neither young nor giant nor gnome. I don't sleep on these streets usually, though I've made thrones of my own. I don't sit well with idle hands, though don't know what to do when I'm home all alone. I'm a menace thrown from society, and as it lies to me, I'll smile silently as others do as they please. I am watching and listening, and I'm grinning all the while, cause sometimes all you can really do is smile. So as the work labors on, I'll keep on singing my songs, and this day's never done. We just keep on spinning around that sun, and well, through all these miles and trials, all I've learned to do is smile. Is to smile.
Welcome to another week of Experience Andy Weins Live, our weekly rendition of what's on my mind and how I want to change and shape, mold the world to being a better place. That's why we do this, and I thank you for joining us again this week and listening, and looking forward to all your feedback on what we have to discuss today, as we do every week. So first off, let's kick things off. We're going to start with our moment of gratitude this week. I am thankful for all the people that elevate me in me from a media perspective. So everything from Taylor, our producer here on Experience Andy Weins Live, is also the producer for the Trash Talk Business Podcast, which comes up right after this show, live weekly with my co-host Casey Bubba Lawrence. I want to thank Chris Crow and his team over at Third Eye Local, who does all the marketing for Camo Crew. We had a new videographer, Josiah. I was looking at an email from him. He did some great work shooting some new content for us at Camo Crew. And I want to thank everybody else that is in the past. Fabio and his brother Marco Bonaquisto, they did one content for me for years. Team over at Misfits, formerly a videography company here in Milwaukee, and the list goes on. Really, the opportunity I have to have people put cameras in front of my face and shoot the content, and listen what I have to say and challenge me, I really do appreciate them, and I want to show some gratitude towards them. And my challenge there to you is find the people that are willing to amplify your sound, and then give them something worth listening to, something worth hearing, and then hire them to amplify the sound and really find your distinct message. I guess the last person was be Amelia and her team over at Pithy Wordsmithy, who supported me in writing my book. They really amplified it. This is probably a whole nother thank you, shout out to her and her team. So thank you, and my gratitude towards the people that listen when I have to say and support me shaping, molding, and then ultimately amplifying that message. Second order of business, one of the things we do, right? Words fucking matter. It's one of the reasons why I do this weekly show, is to test the theories within my book as I develop myself as a speaker doing workshops. So not only can you pick up the book, this is also the season where I am booking speaking gigs. So I have a speaker reel out there. Last week, I booked 3 gigs kind of out of nowhere. So I want to utilize this opportunity to say, hey, if you have a company or a small group that you want to have a workshop talking about the importance of words, we can shape and mold every single presentation. It's all about the workshop and what we can get out of it. This is not a keynote speech where it's really hard and defined. No, this is a workshop. Let's focus on what your team needs best. I've worked with realtors in the past. I got one coming up with loan officers. I've also done them at chambers to a wider audience. So a couple times in places I've done these workshops, and I'm really excited to do more and more coming up. So if you want someone to come out and do a workshop around words and the importance of them, would love to hear from you. You can find me, hit me up, andyweins.com, shoot me an email, hell, send me a text message. My number is readily available. So looking forward to that. All right, let's get the meat and the potatoes and talk about the devil in the details. So I'm going to drink a little coffee here. Decaf. It's mostly decaf throughout the day. 1 cup of regular decaf the rest of the day. All right. This thought was prompted earlier today. I had lunch with Michael Creed of Illuminate Home Loans every Monday, or once Monday, the last Monday of the month. He does a roundtable lunch at Parkside 23 in Brookfield, Wisconsin. I always get the same thing, the shrimp and grits. It's delicious. Anyways, every week every month when he does this event, he proposes a question. And so his question this week is, what is something small and simple within your business that changes the way that you do business? And when you do it right, you do well. And when you do it wrong, you don't do so well. So first thing I thought about was, well, let's think about that word small and yet simple, right? And so I get twitchy when I hear words like small or large, when I hear words like easy or hard, because something small for one person can be really large for another. Something easy for you can be hard. Easy and small are words where we minimize the actions, the activities, the impact of what we're challenged with. And then words like hard and large, it exemplifies what we might be faced with. And so I want to eliminate those words and really focus on words like small or complicated, because now we take ownership. Or I said small. Simple or complicated, right? Something that's multifaceted, that involves lots of people or time or processes, well, it's complicated. So let's focus on the small, actionable steps we can take. And there's also things in life that can be very, very tough or difficult or hard, and yet they're simple, like quitting smoking, for example, or eating right, or going to the gym. Relatively simple, and yet it's complicated because of emotion. So let's focus on the simple thing, right? So first thing I thought about, well, was simple. And the simple thing that I came up with an answer for our company is when, not if. So often I see it in sales, people are very passive, right? If you're ready to sign the deal, please let us know. We're going to be here for you, right? It's passive. It's nice. It doesn't get us anywhere, right? You're like, hey, we're open for business. You know, if you're available, we're here. Let us know. Versus when you're ready. And get right to it. Ask the question. I'm a huge fan of ending every interaction with a ask. Ask a question, because you're looking to obtain more information. If you had all the information, why are we talking? Right? Let's go back to the weight principle. Why am I talking? Right? So if I'm looking to convince somebody to use, or when, not if, right? Here we go. When I'm looking to have somebody use my services, I want to convince them to hire my company, give me money in exchange for my labor. That's what I want. I can leave it as an if, or I can choose to ask the when. So instead of saying, if you'd like us to proceed, please let us know. Say, when would you like this project to go, right? Or we're available this early. When would you like to book it? What other concerns do you have? What information are we missing? when you propose that question, it forces them to answer. And sometimes they might say, hey, the price is too much. Okay, what price is not too much? Let's talk about what we can do to find a price that works. What time does work for you? I said this time was available for me. If that doesn't work, what does? And now we can have this conversation where we're exchanging facts to get to an ultimate resolution. Sometimes there's not a time that's going to work. Sometimes there's not a price that's going to work. I'd rather get that information now than later. So quick fix, a simple change of when language versus if language. So that was the example from today. Over this weekend, I had the opportunity to be featured on 920, a local AM sports station here in Milwaukee. And we did about a 40-minute segment talking about Camel Crew junk removal and my journey as an entrepreneur, going from picking up appliances on the side of the road all the way through, multi-million-dollar operation with a 30,000 square foot facility. And we're talking about this. And I'm talking about the people that impacted me through the years. And I brought up a gentleman, Darren Brooks. I've been working with him for 20 years. He's the Wash Machine Man. That's his business name. I forgot to take off my headset. That's his business name, the Wash Machine Man. He's in the northwest of Milwaukee, Titonia. He takes broken appliances, old appliances, refurbishes them, cleans them, and then sells them, and then gets them into the community, especially lower income areas that cannot afford new appliances, and yet they need like new appliances so they can live a happy, healthy life. And so I said, I've been working with him for 20 years. He's a mentor. And the comment he made, his name's Mike. Mike said to me, Mike McGivern, he goes, well, there must be a lot of loyalty between you. And I go, no loyalty. Loyalty is bullshit. I do not believe in loyalty. The Army has 7 Army values, and they spell leadership, LDR, SHIP. So it's loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. All right. 19 years in the Army. I've memorized them, right? And the first one, loyalty, back in 2015, I went through a EO complaint. The Army said I did not adhere to their equal opportunity standards, and that came back as a unfounded. There was no I was found unfounded against the allegations. However, what came out during that investigation, and I ultimately got a letter of reprimand for, was the fact that I was not loyal to the first sergeant. I displayed qualities of not being loyal because I said out loud, the first sergeant doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. That's what I said. I did not deny saying it. It's absolutely true. Now, who I said it to was wrong. I said it to subordinates, which was wrong by all, Army and military standards. And yet I still stand by what I said. That person did not do their job. And so they said it was a lack of loyalty that I didn't follow them. And I said, no, loyalty is bullshit. I need you to be the best you are. And that person chose not to be the best they are. I ultimately got kicked out of my platoon, and then I got kicked out of my company for that one phrase I said, that the first sergeant doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. At the end of the deployment, the first sergeant and the commander were both relieved because turns out they didn't know what they were doing. And I got subsequently promoted and transferred into the job that I had wanted. So they got relieved. I got promoted. It all worked out. What I said was true. They didn't know what they were doing. And yet my lack of loyalty was on display, and it was held against me. When I was on the radio show this Saturday, I corrected Mike, and I said, no, it's not a loyalty. The reason I work with the Wash Machine Man, the reason I work with Darren is because 20 years ago when I was down and out, we worked together because we exchanged goods and services that were mutually beneficial. Now that we're both in a much better spot, his business has grown, my business has grown, we continue to work together because it's mutually beneficial. It works for him and it works for me. I don't go back to him because I've known him for 20 years. I don't go back to him because he supported me when I was down and out. No, I go back to him because he's still a good fit for me. And I think of that word loyalty. Often people stay in relationships out of loyalty, not because that person is good for them today. And so when you think about the devil in the details, what have you done for me lately is an absolute valid question to talk about. Think about what they've done for you and not focus on the loyalty. When I pushed back Mike and I said, loyalty is bullshit. And I didn't say bullshit. I said loyalty is not important or whatever I said on the radio. He goes, you know what, Andy? He goes, 99.9% of people would have never said anything. They would have just answered the question. He goes, I respect the fact that you gave me pushback. This was live on the radio, and I dismissed his question, and I gave him reason for it, and I explained my perspective, and he thanked me for it. And this is the beautiful thing. When 99.9% of people go one way, I want to be part of that 0.1% of people that go the other way to see what is over there. And when you take the time to start listening to the details within conversations, you start picking things up. I was talking to my girlfriend this weekend about when her and I converse, or I'm having conversations with other people, and she asked, "Are you listening to the whole story? Or are you looking for individual words?" And I said, "I'm pretty much only listening to individual words." And often the individual words do not line up with the entire story because people do this magical thing where they lie to themselves and others around them. And so we were watching some garbage TV this weekend. I watch garbage TV as much as everybody else. We were watching Love is Blind on Netflix. Uh, Whatever. The premise is they people meet each other or don't meet. They talk to each other in these cubes, and then eventually they decide, oh, they're the person I want to be with. And then, oh, that's what you look like in real life. And now we're engaged. Now we have a month to get married or something. So I started watching at the tail end of the season. It was Friday night garbage television, and she's invested in the characters, and she's invested in the show. Not like over the top, like she's going to lose sleep over it. More like she knows what's going on. And I'm picking up halfway through, and I start listening to the way that people talked to each other. And the one couple, she said, she used a sentence, and she used it in the past tense. I felt this way about you, and then continued. And I looked at my girlfriend. I said, "Oh, they're about to break up." She goes, "Well, how do you know?" I said, "Because she's talking in the past tense. Instead of saying I feel, she said I felt." And that's a huge difference. And often in crime cases, they do that when a spouse or someone is missing and they start interviewing the family members. Some family members that may or may not be involved or know that the person's dead and they ought not to be looking for them, they listen to what tense they talk about that person in. Do they consider them to still be alive or dead based off of the tense of the word? And it really is down to those details. And awfully often that's the thing that cracks the case. And so when I'm watching this garbage TV, I'm not watching the overall story. I don't care about all that. I'm listening to the individual words they talk about. In a later segment, the one woman said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous are you to meet my family? And that guy answered, I don't get nervous. I mean, I don't get nervous around people, and there's nothing to be worried about. And I literally paused the television and the TV, the Netflix, and I said, okay, see, that's bullshit. He's not answering the fucking question. Well, what do you mean? She said, and I said, well, the woman asked a simple question on a scale of 1 to 10. How nervous are you? Right? She wants a number, and she also wants how nervous are you? Right? There's an answer there, right? And instead, he didn't answer either question. He didn't answer 1 to 10, and he said what he wasn't. I don't get nervous. Instead, he could have said, you know what? I'm a 1 because I'm confident in my ability in our relationship, and I really look forward to meeting your family. That displays I listened to what you had to say. I instilled the confidence. Now, she also, the woman, started with a negative connotation. How nervous are you? Versus how excited are you? Later in that same interaction, they talk about the don'ts. And I don't, she made a comment. She's like, I'm excited for your family, meet my family, but I'm worried you might say something off-putting, right? And now it's like, well, hold on. Which statement is true? You're excited or you're nervous? Because now you're saying both, and you're talking, right? Go back to, why am I talking? What message are you trying to explain here? The devil is in the details. When you use words like but between two otherwise independent statements, which one is true? And in that whole interaction, I go, he's lying and she's not confident. And like 3 segments later, he cheats on her because she was, or he cheats on her. Not, I was about to say like blame her. No, he cheats on her because he's a turd of a person, right? And her lack of confidence was a contributing factor, right? That right. And it was so simple within the language. And now this next segment, the one that my girlfriend had pegged and was like, they're the ones that are going to last, right? So I'm listening to the words. And instead of saying something like, hey, how nervous are you to meet my friends? Because it was the whole like, meet my friends fucking episode. Instead, he goes, how excited are you to meet my friends? You're going to do great. I'm so excited to meet my friend. Meet your friends. The woman displayed a lack of excitement, which then made him feel good about himself. And so the whole segment was shot in a positive affirmation mindset. And I get it. The producers of this show are looking for drama. They also, right, they're gonna start mixing in some foreshadowing, right? It's gonna happen. Got it. They have hundreds of hours of footage to go through, and they already know who makes it and doesn't make it by the time they start editing it. And when you start paying attention, you can simply see how they're playing the story out. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Us in the real world, right? We get to choose to be the victors of our own stories and not the victim of circumstance. So we have the choice to be the victors. We have the choice to use language that like and versus but. Inclusive language, right? We talk about inclusive language now in 2024. Let's use inclusive language. Like and. versus but, where two sentences work together versus compete. Let's use language like I can, I will, I do versus I can't, won't, I don't. When you start using this language, you start listening to others and you start realizing, well, hold on, who is lying to me? My last example comes from one of my favorite people in the world. Kevin O'Leary was recently on CNN, and I think CNN is garbage. However, I follow Kevin O'Leary. He was recently on an interview, and I'm going to drop this in the chat, with CNN. And the host brings him on. He is an expert in his field. He knows what he's talking about. They bring him on to talk about this whole situation with Trump getting got the lawsuit for like $355 billion, right? Fine. And twice in a 10-minute interview where she's interviewing him, the subject matter expert, she says twice, I don't mean to interrupt you, but da. You fucking lying news anchor of a person. I was going to say much worse language, and yet it does not serve us here. When you say, I don't mean to interrupt, but you damn sure mean to interrupt because that's what you did. And you're lying to yourself and you're lying to the audience. And that's what the news media outlets do. They lie to us with this language. My challenge to you is simple. I talked about it last week, being precise in your words. Jordan Peterson and others talk about the precision in the language. Be precise in your words first. Second, challenge others when they are not being precise, when it is not clear what their intentions are, when the words that build the foundation behind the structure, which is the story, are inconsistent with the overall structure. Challenge them. And finally, when you hear bullshit like you do on mainstream media, think for yourself. Disqualify and discredit the talking heads in our world that try to convince us that we're wrong and they're right, because they're their bullshit rhetoric. My challenge to you in this week is very simple. Take the lessons learned today, move forward with them, share them with others, become the beacon within your world now that you have this new knowledge in front of you. I will see you next week on another episode of Experience Andy Weins Live, where I will be on vacation and yet still putting in the work, sharing my ideals with the world, because you, the audience, in this 15 minutes of my day is important to me. Between now and then, remember the 3 lessons of life that will get you through and overcome all of the challenges you may have. Do the fucking thing, tell the fucking world, and show the fuck up. We'll see you next week.
Through all these miles and trials, all I've learned to do is smile. Is to smile.